Paul resigned as fire chief. Paul was our fire marshal and fire chief. The state says you can be one, but not both. He fought them for 4 years, and finally they came up and says, all right, here's your choice. You can either be a fire marshal or you can be a fire chief, but you're not going to be both. Well, fire marshal was where he was making his money. So he took that and he resigned from the fire department. Pete Richards was elected chief that night. Fire department and EMS split in 1998. We had about 40 members in the department, and it worked out that 90% of them were daytime workers. So that meant during the daytime we could not man the ambulance. That created problems. So in an effort to make sure that Lake Jackson was covered, we dropped out of the ambulance service business and a private company came in. It's still operating that way. We have a very good service here and they do a very good job. All right, 2005, new station was built to take care of our equipment and a place for us to stay. Now, 2005 is when Hurricane Katrina was heading this way. We were supposed to take a direct hit from it. So, Chief came over here and told the contractor, well, you need to clear out the bay because we need to move our trucks in. He said, oh no, we're not ready for you. He said, you didn't hear me. Move it out, we're moving in. So we moved in when Hurricane Katrina was coming here. We also set up where we have people staying at the station during an emergency like this. We stayed, 3 days, that one? He had just broken a foot, so he wasn't much used to us. He left. All right, let's go to the next one, please. All right, Hurricane Ike. It came in. Hurricane Ike came in, hit Galveston. We were on the good side for a change. We had a north wind. All right, we went on emergency standby for 10 days. There were people staying here at the station for 10 days. Not only was it firemen, but this room was cleared out. All the tables were stacked up around it, cots put up in here. We had people down here. The Coast Guard station down on the beach had to abandon their station. It was underwater. They stayed with us. Well, it was flooded for 3 or 4 days? They couldn't leave. Well, whenever the storm passed, the firemen would start going out and clearing the roads of tree limbs and things like that. Take a chainsaw, cut it up, move it out of the way so we can get down the street. Those Coast Guardmen, they reached and grabbed a chainsaw and they went with us. They were starting to cut it up. This was also the chow hall. This is where everybody came in. The first 3 days, it was nothing but 65 people, no problem. I'd get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, make my coffee, drink a cup of coffee, come back in, put on everybody else's coffee, and then start breakfast. The first crew came in to eat at 7, the next one at 7:30, the third one at 8. That was fine. And then Mr. Yenny pulled something on me. About the third day in, he says, oh, Andy, guess what? We're bringing in city workers. Okay, how many? About 150 to 175. So what does that mean to me? You got to feed them. Uh-oh, I need help. So a gentleman came over to help me. We discussed things back and forth, and I found out that he was a barbecue cooker. Okay, we pulled a pit up out back. Says, you're responsible for supper. I'll help you. I'm responsible for breakfast. You help me. And we served sandwiches for lunch. Things went great. The next day we had another guy come in to help us. And then the day after that we had 2 ladies come in and help us clean. Well, we got to looking at our supplies. We were low on supplies. We had keys to all the grocery stores in town. We went out to Walmart, opened up the back door, we go in, we're sitting there discussing it. Well, let me go get a couple of carts. So I got a couple of carts, we come back, we needed lunch meat. The freezer was sitting over there. It hadn't been opened in all this time, so it was still frozen. We're sitting there talking and somebody took a shot at us. Boom, whoa, wait a minute, what are you doing? Dead silence. Hello? Nothing. We look around, boom, there it goes again. Uh-oh, we're in trouble. Hello? Nothing. Okay, well, they hadn't hit anything, they won't say anything, let's go. We went down, we turned the aisle, and we started there, boom, and there was a can of biscuits across the aisle. It sounded just like a shotgun going off, but that's the way it was. Now, we started out to say this is a brief history of the fire department. One of the things I wanted to find out when I started through the newspapers over at the library, they had fish tapes of them. And I started back in 40, 41, 42, and it was the Freeport facts. Somewhere or another in there, it became the Brazosport facts, or the facts, and then the Brazosport facts, or something like that. I never could find a date when they switched the names of the paper. And I've been informed now that the county library has all the papers. So maybe I'll get to add to it and get things going. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy. Brought back a lot of memories.
Yeah.
Lots of memories. Okay, our second speaker is Mike Harper. Mike joined the fire department in October of 1985. He worked his way up through the ranks, starting as just a firefighter, became a captain, assistant chief, and became the fire chief in 1999. He holds certifications as advanced firefighter, EMT, and is commissioned through the state of Texas as an arson investigator, fire inspector, and law enforcement officer. He is an employee of Dow Chemical Company. That's where he gets paid. So, Mike.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming tonight. A couple of my slides at the beginning are kind of going to duplicate what Andy was doing, but I tried to include a few pictures. Obviously, like Andy said, in 43, we became the fire department here in Lake Jackson, and Dow Chemical did donate our first truck. That's the truck there, brand new, hadn't been used. It is still in service out here, still runs pumps, and does a really great job, and we keep it for parades and funerals now. There's that station Andy was talking about, that where is the Lake Theater. This was the very first station. Didn't have any doors or anything like that, but more or less just a barn. There's just a shot of some of the crew guys in 1947 I thought I'd include with the truck. 1950-ish, 51, me and Andy really couldn't figure out which is 50 or 51. They did move into that new station he was talking about on Circle Way. Right around the corner here, like he said, the slab is still there. It had 2 bays. 65 across the street was old Fire Station 1 was built. It was the police and fire station. 74, we added on in need of space. So we built the station at Dixie, Loop Road, and Oyster Creek. That's what Station 2 looked like back then. 2 bays, had restroom, sleeping area in the back, and a duty office up front. 81 and 92, PD expanded across the street and moved in their own facilities, and that gave us a little more room for a fire marshal office, a secretary treasurer's office, fire chief had an office there, and we had a training area upstairs that seated 25. Like Andy was saying, 1998, we were running around a lot of calls. Back then, if you were a firefighter, you had to do both fire and EMS. And some people that, expressed interest to be in our department only want to do EMS or only want to do fire. So we did split. EMS did try to stay volunteer for about 6 months. They were running a lot of calls and finally became incorporated. Lake Jackson Inc. is incorporated. They are contracted by the city. The city does provide the building, all the ambulances, the fuel, the upkeep to all the ambulances. So those are city-owned ambulances, and then the employees are contractors. 2001, citizens approved a bond issue. The first portion of the bond issue was $200,000 to add a second bay, or third bay at Fire Station 2, because our equipment's getting taller, longer, and larger, and we had more equipment. $3.7 million to build this station here. There's the addition to the third bay over here that is Station 2 for $200,000. Of course, this is the building you're in now. It's really a great building. We had several plans, A, B, or C. When I approached the city, we need to expand, and the city council has always treated us well. And we held several public hearings, and we were awarded the $3.7 million to build this station here. Just to give you a comparison, of course, 43 when we started with 13 folks, with one truck. You can see in 65, 19, 5. They made 310 calls in 1965. And you can see as it goes up, the milestones was 74 when Station 2 was built. We're up to 490 calls. 98 when we split from fire and EMS. At that time, everybody, fire and EMS, we made 1,593 calls with 53 folks. 2005, when this station was built, obviously we're split. I did still include the numbers. We still made 416 fire calls alone for the fire department and 1,629 EMS calls. And last year, this is our numbers that we ended up at last year. With 44 members, we still ran over 3,000 and what is that? 3,084 calls. We're still with just 44 members, and that's a lot of calls. And it's a lot of work here. I wish we had 144 members. Again, we operate 24/7. We're all volunteer from my position on down. Like Mrs. will say, I work for Dow Chemical, been out there for 25 years. My position's volunteer. We have 2 assistant fire chiefs, Billy Yates and Gary Gann. We have 3 captains, 3 lieutenants, and currently we have 35 active members. 22 pieces of equipment operating out of 2 stations, and we're supported by 1 paid fire marshal. Thought I'd throw this slide up here. This is our current budget. Again, the city is very gracious to us. We get what we need to operate safely. This is our current budget of $786,000. And I thought I'd just list some of the replacement costs because people just don't realize how expensive those big red trucks are. In '99 we bought Rescue 2, $220,000. New Suburban for the Command, $65,000. Engine 5, $425,000. There's the $200,000 for the remodel for Fire Station 2. We bought Engine 2 for another $425,000. There's the $3.2 million for this station here. Tower 1, which was $754,000. We have the only tower ladder truck with a basket we call a tower south of Angleton. Angleton has one and we have one. We mutuated that truck quite a bit to include Freeport, Richwood in need there. 2012, we bought our newest truck, the Rescue 1 out there. It's $525,000. And when we get done here, y'all can go out there and check it out. It's fully equipped, just a big toolbox. Monday night, City Council approved. I put in asking for a budget for a new pumper tanker. We're replacing 2 older trucks and going to combine them and reduce our fleet by 1. But that new pumper tanker is $540,000. And then fire marshals get new Suburban this year. But that's just in the last 14 years. We spent $6.6 million for station and equipment. And that's pretty impressive. Again, like Ms. Israel says, a lot of people don't realize the difference between the fire marshal and fire chief. My responsibility is overseeing the day-to-day operations, which includes suppression, fire suppression, rescue, hazmat, and just any call for service by the citizens. We do go on some strange calls. We do still get calls for cats in the tree, but we don't use city. I've never seen a dead cat in a tree, so they'll come down, I promise you. And again, I'm certified advanced firefighter here in the state of Texas, EMT. 2005, I wanted to help Randy Grimm out and become a fire investigator, and I went and got certified in that. And then to investigate arson, you have to be a police officer. So in 2008, I went through the police academy, became a commissioned peace officer, just to help Randy. And I'm sure he'll talk about in a minute. He's a single person department. I mean, he does everything, and I just try to give him a hand where I can. And I am currently an active reserve, pretty much reserve at least 1 shift a weekend with PD.